These are the young people with special educational needs and disabilities who rely on their school transport, which is now under threat as cuts to Birmingham City Council's budget take effect.
They're taking away the taxi and asking for parents to either make their own way to school or he has to get a bus pass or travel training. Now, Harry's learning disabilities are so severe that he actually can't cross a road safely by himself. So the alternative is he either is pulled out of school completely, or I give up my job, or we find an online course. We recently got a quote for transport and it comes to £8,000 for the academic year. And I don't know how they expect families to afford that.
How do you feel about the fact that these cuts are seemingly falling on those who perhaps need help the most?
The measure of a society is how it treats its most vulnerable. And so it's truly shocking and quite disgusting, frankly, that it was even considered to be cutting this service. If he doesn't have transport and he's unable to get to college, he is being imprisoned in his own home.
Such is the need, these parents are fighting to keep a service they say isn't even that reliable.
I've had issues where the taxi hasn't arrived. An hour and a half later, the taxi firm aren't even aware that their driver's not picked the child up for school. The child's not arrived in school. I've waited all day for a manager to call me back and there's been no callbacks. It's absolutely horrendous.
Is he aware really of the problem that it might be disappearing, or have you tried to...
He knows that they might be taking away his taxi and that's stressed him out a lot. He can't cope because he doesn't know what's going to happen and he thinks that he's not going to be able to continue going to school, and that's his life, you know. He doesn't go out anywhere else.
The cuts are deep and damaging. £300 million gone over 2 years. But it's not just Birmingham having to make these tough financial decisions. While it's had its own problems relating to an equal pay row and the botched rollout of a new IT system, councils right across the Midlands are making cuts amid rising costs.
We've looked at both recent trends in local government funding and spending and at the next few years, and unfortunately the picture isn't that pretty. Whilst over the last couple of years funding for councils has increased, the spending pressures they faced have gone up by even more. Things like children's social care, homelessness, school transport for special educational needs children. Councils really have faced a perfect storm over the last 15 years. But many might be reaching breaking point now, and I think Birmingham could just be the tip of the iceberg.
Local authorities receive money primarily from government grants and business rates. That's used to pay for things like social care, housing and waste management. But in recent years, the demand on those services and therefore the cost of them has increased, leaving councils in total short of £4 billion this financial year. Labour won't say it'll throw a load more money at the problem, but believes longer-term funding settlements mean councils will have more certainty.
We think that the one-year settlements are really making councils struggle even further, so we would make sure that they can get multi-year settlements. We will end Section 21 no-fault evictions, which again has seen significant pressures on councils' budgets.
To be clear though, no extra funding, no extra money for local authorities.
Well, by us putting them on a sustainable long-term funding settlement and by reducing the costs that councils are having to put out at the moment, that will actually save councils money. The Conservatives blame struggling councils for mismanaging their own budgets and say they have provided support.
Well, it is the case that we put an additional injection of cash in to support local councils. The councils that so far have been in the biggest financial difficulty have been councils which have been mismanaged, and independent inspection and verification has shown that it's been poor management that has led some councils into a plea for emergency cash. But overall, we have, through our levelling up funds, directed money towards those councils most in need. And it's also the case that we're helping councils to attract investment by allowing them to keep more of their business rates.
The Liberal Democrats say they'll reverse Conservative tax cuts given to the big banks in order to fund social care services. They say it'll help boost local public health funding and investment in social housing. Reform UK says it would examine how many non-UK born children are being looked after by council taxpayers and would provide councils with enough money to repair the roads. And the Green Party says its MPs will push for an increase in local government funding of £5 billion per year and an additional £3 billion for high-quality children's social care. Whichever party wins power, the next government is unlikely to provide a quick fix, leaving families to face the consequences of financial decisions out of their control. Lewis Warner, ITV News.